Everybody's lost and the world's the blind leading the blind. So the ultimate adventure to me is not just like bungee jumping or something like that or going to the Amish. It's trying to get insight and see life as a puzzle. And your goal in life is to seek the adventures that piece the puzzle together. So that at the end of your life, you kind of get it. I feel like most people don't get what life is. Like, think about it. It's like, what is life? Like, why are we driven with some basic instincts? What's the purpose, Lose to organisms that can learn through other people's trial and error. Is anybody here, we got a little live audience, anybody here ever had to be hit by a car to learn to look both ways? I didn't. I kind of learned from just somebody telling me, big car, 2 tons, velocity, smash, dead. And I now always look both ways. Is that the only way you're gonna learn is just through massive mistakes and trials and error. You haven't read Richard Dawkins' book. If you believe in evolution, or even you don't, you believe in creationism or whatever, why do we have big brains?
Should you work harder? Is hard work the key? Is hustle the key? I hear a lot of different opinions. I just want to say this. I feel like I live in a world that's the exact opposite. I feel like I live in a world where millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, even billions of people are working their ass off. I remember going to India in the third world. People wake up at dawn and work till dusk picking aluminum out of trash heaps. Should they work harder to get ahead? I'm always reminded of this story that my mentor, Alan Nation, told me. He said, Tai, and I don't know if this is a true story, but it gets the point across. There was a plane flying over South America. It crash landed, and it was full of all these engineers, all these hard workers. And the hard workers got out, and there were some machetes, and they all grabbed a machete, and they began to hack their way through the jungle. Chop, 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 chop. Flurries of activity, boy. They were working hard, but they forgot something. Don't ever confuse flurries of activity with accomplishment. Activity doesn't always equal achievement. So they were chopping through, and luckily for them, one person got out of the plane. Instead of working hard, went on, climbed up a big tree and looked out and surveyed the landscape and yelled down to the group. I was younger, and Alan Nation, one of my mentors, he had told me, he said, Tai, he said, what did you want to be when you were 16? That's the truest version of yourself. What did you want to be when you were 16? And I remember at 16, I wanted to find the good life. Aristotle talks about eudaimonia, his definition of the good life: health, wealth, happiness, love, all those things. And I remember going, it's too hard. How am I ever going to figure this out? There's so many hard questions. I'm 16. I got to figure out what college I'm going to go to, what religion I'm going to follow, who I'm going to marry, what politics, where to live, what career and path to pursue. And I had this idea. I was like, I know the perfect idea. What I'll do is I'll find one person. I thought this was so genius. Turned out to not be so smart, but I'd find one person who had all the answers. So I wrote a letter. The smartest person I could think of was my grandfather. So I wrote this letter and I was like, will you tell me how to design my life? TED is about T-E-D. The D is about design, the designed life. So I said, will you help me design my life?
One of the things a mentor taught me is this thing that I call the 4 M's. A lot of people procrastinate. If you bump into most people I meet, I've got about 13 million social media followers now. So I get thousands of people asking me questions every day. And the most common theme, one of the most common, is how do I overcome procrastination, fear, and anxiety? My answer is like, well, you got to know what motivates you, and different people are motivated in different ways. So the 4 M's, and I've run this by a lot of scientists. Most of them think I'm on the right track. One of them, he thinks I'm missing an M. But the first M is material things, money. The second one is mating / romance. The third one is momentum / freedom. And the fourth one is mastery / status. If you look at any person that you know and you break down why do they do what they do, it's one of those 4. But I would still contend by evidence, who are the people whose ideas changed the world?